You think about Moses had a zeal for God. Joshua and Caleb had a zeal for God. Even though everyone turned against him, everyone turned against Moses and said, no, we can't go into the promised land. Joshua and Caleb stood up and they said, hey, no, we can do this. If God be for us, who can be against us? Hey, God's going to take care of this. He's going to fight the battles for us. We can go in and we can conquer. What happened though? The zeal of the other 10 who were negative and said, no, God can't do that. The discouraging aspect of the other 10 convinced the nation to follow them instead of following God. You say, oh, my actions aren't going to affect anybody. Oh, friend, you have no idea how many people are affected by your actions. Whether you have a zeal for God or whether you're just going to be like those 10 and say, no, I don't think we can trust God. I don't think we can do it. I don't think God's going to be there with us. There's just too many obstacles in the way. And it led a whole nation not to follow God. You know what's really interesting about that passage, though? 40 years later, when they finally come to the Jordan River, and all of those other people who said, no, God can't do it, we can't do it, it's not going to happen, they all died in the wilderness, except for Joshua and Caleb. Joshua and Caleb got to go into the promised land. Why? Because they had a zeal for God. They said, we can trust God. We can know that God's going to do this. And yeah, there may be obstacles and there may be giants in the land and there may be difficulties, but you know what? Our God is greater than any of those obstacles. And there was a zeal that they had for God. And it inspired others to do this as well. You think about others throughout the Bible who've had a zeal for the things of God. Those that were zealous about what God wanted. You think about David. David had a zeal for God. It was very obvious. Yes, he sinned. We know that. But you can't read the scriptures without seeing the zeal that David had for God. You think about Paul. Paul had a zeal, and it inspired others. But you remember what Paul says about Israel? Paul said Israel had a zeal for God too. They had a zeal for God, but what did he say? But not according to knowledge. They were zealous about religious things, but he said they don't know who God is. You see, zeal, this zeal that God wants us to have, the zeal that Paul is speaking about here, it is to provoke others. It's to inspire action in others. What are missionaries trying to do when they come in and present their ministry? They're trying to inspire others to action. They're trying to say, hey, there is a need. Would you be willing to go?